Oh, how disgusting. Terrible, terrible etiquette. Terrible behavior. Yes, I know you had an awful night last night.
Don't take it out on us.
Yeah, the girl of your dreams was not the girl of your dreams.
Or the guy of your dreams turned out to be an ogre.
So you drowned your sorrows in your favorite adult beverage, and now here on Saturday morning, September the 21st, you're paying the price. But that's okay. That's what your Uncle Dave and I are here for.
Yep.
It is time for your Saturday morning hangover cure. Sports Frenzy 2.0, the weekend edition.
Your favorite politically incorrect pop culture commentary.
That's your Uncle Dave, the Conquistador Dave Height.
That's your Uncle Kev, the Maestro Kevin Crane.
And of course, what do we always start off with, Dave?
We always start with music because it's all about rock and roll.
Yes, and this is a great year for live music for us. I mean, this has been one for the books. It just keeps stacking on top of itself. Just when we think it's going to end, it's not going to end.
Yep, it's not the most we've seen in a year, but it's drawing out now.
Yeah, we're getting these bands nostalgia bands that we love, that we're getting to see for one last time. Newer bands, like we will see Rival Sons this coming Sunday. So that'll be next week's featured review. But last Sunday, we saw a great, great triple bill taking us back.
Back to the 90s, baby.
Soul Asylum live and Stone Temple Pilots wrapping up the Jubilee Tour at the Ruoff Music Center, our favorite haunt, down in Noblesville, Indiana. So we'll address the bands separately, but I guess maybe just review it as a whole.
Yeah, I think that's what we need to do.
Soul Asylum. I still want to see them as a headliner. I still want to see a full hour and a half set from them. Because the two times I've seen them, they've given you half an hour, and that's it. Now, great half an hour.
Solid. Very solid. Sounded great.
Yep, solid, tight 7-song set to take us through the first 30 minutes. Of course, they covered all the bases you would expect with Somebody to Shove and Misery and Black Gold and Runaway Train.
Just Like Anyone.
Yep. Very happy that they closed everything out with April Fool. I personally love that song. Threw a new song in there from their upcoming album, Slowly But Surely, The Only Thing I'm Missing.
Yep.
Which I thought was a little interesting because they went with a song they haven't released yet.
Yeah.
They didn't do Freak Accident or High Road.
No, I kind of liked that. Something a little different.
Yep.
And it was good.
And of course, the big thing with Soul Asylum is you and Mrs. C saw them years and years and years ago, and you guys swear that they were bombed out of their gourds and they were terrible.
Yeah. It was not a good run.
But the two times we've seen them over the past 6-7 years,
much, much better.
Yeah.
So it might have just been one of those nights.
And that happens. It does happen.
And we saw them, that was, God. When I saw them, they headlined, and it was 94.
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
back in their heyday, but probably back in their heavy partying days. Yeah.
So, and it seemed like that's where they were at with that one.
Yeah. But yeah, they were solid. They were really, really good here last Sunday at the Ruoff Music Center. Very, very happy. I'm a big Soul Asylum guy, so ecstatic with 30 minutes. It was the best 30 minutes I could probably expect from them. Then we move on to live, and of course I know Mrs. C
was dying for this one.
Right, because I love the fact, that feeling, when you finally get to see a band live that you've never seen before.
That you've been wanting to for so long.
Yep.
And she jumped on the live bandwagon early with their first album, Mental Jewelry.
Right.
So
we get 14 songs from live, an hour and 15 minutes, because it's a co-headliner tour, so this night happened to be live, and then Stone Temple Pilots, both bands playing for exactly an hour and 15 minutes. This, by the way, was a well-oiled machine.
Oh, they had this down beautifully.
Yep. Down to the minute.
Yeah.
And I will say this, I am not the biggest fan of live. I've seen them before, and they're good. They're very good, solid. Not going to complain at all about the show. There was a little part in the middle, I would probably say, Freaks, Lady Bang, Pain Lies on the Riverside, and Pillar of Davidson, where I was checking out a little bit.
Yeah, they lost me in that little bit of a run there as well. But then coming back with Shit Town, that was a nice little ad.
Yep. For me, I will shock everybody, since obviously I was there mostly for Soul Asylum and STP. I will shock everybody and say my favorite song of the night was the closing song of Live's set before they did the encore, Lacani's Juice. I had not heard that song in years, and I forgot how much I love that song.
Yeah.
And how much it rocks. And the simple graphics behind the stage of that molten red sun was just awesome.
That was really freaking cool. No, this live, I liked their stuff. I wasn't sure how I would like them in concert. Mm-hmm. I was impressed. I liked them a lot more than I thought I was going to.
Yep.
And they did rock a good little bit out, especially towards the end.
Yep. Again, just a little bit of a soft spot there in the middle for me personally, but I'm sure live fans were ecstatic.
Yeah, Mrs. C was gaga. It ended and she goes, "Okay, let's go." Well, we just saw STP 2 years ago.
No, I made you promise months ago when we got these tickets. I said we are staying for the entire set of STP, and we did.
And we did.
Now I will understand. I was actually thrilled with this.
The whole night was good.
But I will understand the fact that Stone Temple Pilots played the entire Purple album.
That was freaking cool.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever...
That.
I know bands have been doing this for years and years now, but I don't think we've ever actually seen a band live do an entire album.
Warrant, when they did Cherry Pie at Sweetwater.
But they did it out of sequence, didn't they?
They did it out of sequence.
Okay. But, yeah. Stone Temple Pilots played Purple sequentially in its entirety.
And that's what fans want.
Yep. So, I thought it was phenomenal, because there's a couple songs in that album that weren't hits that I really, really love, like Kitchenware and Candy Bars, the closing track. I just love it. Unglued is fantastic. But then there's hits on the album as well, obviously.
Yeah.
Vaseline and Interstate Love Song, and The Big Empty.
Yeah. I like Silver Gun Superman.
Yeah, they play that.
They regularly.
Yeah,
but still, it's still an enjoyable tune.
Yep. And then you told me you were pretty impressed with Pretty Penny. That was the one where they did the stripped down percussion.
Yeah, I loved that.
Yep.
The stripped down percussion. Oh my God, the bongos, the bigger one, the wind chimes, and oh my God, just incredible. The beat, the way he kept it going and changing everything up.
Yeah, and I mentioned to you that I think it's got to be incredibly difficult to play an album from beginning to end in sequence, because you can shift and change tempos on an album easily.
Yeah, but during the show, it's a little bit more difficult. Right. But then, they pulled it off beautifully.
Yep, and then they left time at the end for 4 songs from the first album, Core, of course, all the biggest hits off of Core.
Yep. Plush, Dead and Bloated, Cracker Man, and Sex Type Thing.
Yep. Just what you would expect.
Yeah.
Just what you would expect. Yeah, there would have been a riot if they didn't play those 4 songs.
Yeah, and there's no way they would have made it off the stage unscathed.
No. But I was very, very, very happy with this entire night. All 3 bands sounded great. The sound was phenomenal.
For all of them, which rarely happens.
Yep. And the graphics, especially, of course, for live and for STP, were very cool.
Yeah,
enhancing
they did
the songs.
A nice job with that.
Yep. So this is definitely a 3.5 frenzy
Absolutely.
night for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There was nothing wrong with this show.
No. Now, I was worried about you guys getting a little bored with STP playing Purple.
Oh, no, I loved it. That was fine with me.
Yeah.
I had no issue with that at all.
And we might, I don't know for sure, but this coming Sunday, when we see Rival Sons, we might possibly hear them play Great Western Valkyrie in its entirety. They've been alluding to, they want to, at some point on this tour, with Clutch, do that.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned, if it's going to be like this, where it's 1 hour and 15 for each band, that will basically burn up all of Rival Sons' time.
That is their time. The Great Western Valkyrie is like 1 hour and 11 minutes.
Yeah, and I don't see how they can. They've got to leave time for some of their newer stuff. They have to play Pressure in Time, because that's basically their most popular song.
Yeah. So
we'll see how much they play.
We'll see if we get anything off of it. I would imagine.
I imagine we'll get at least 4 or 5.
We'll get a good little bit off.
At least 4 or 5, bare minimum. Yeah.
I want Rich and Poor.
I like Electric Man, the lead off track.
Oh my God, that is fantastic too.
Yep. So next week we will keep the live music train going with Rival Sons, Clutch, and Fu Manchu.
Fu Manchu.
So we'll see how it goes. We might, I will admit it now, if Rival Sons are out there first before Clutch, and Clutch doesn't strike our fancy, we might actually...
We'll give it a fair shot.
Yeah, we might actually do the faux pas, the concert faux pas, and bail early. Because we know who we're there for.
Right. And if there's a band that you really don't like it's not an egregious thing to leave early. If you're not enjoying it, right. Why subject yourself to the misery?
Yeah.
Unless you're being held captive.
Now, of course, we have, before we get to our 2 songs for the week, major, huge breaking rock and roll news. We'll do this once in a while here on Sports Frenzy, on the weekend edition, when it's very, very important. So we've had 2 bands here over the last week who basically look like, one says for sure they're calling it quits, the other one, based on their behavior,
it's calling it quits.
Yeah. So, of course, first up is Jane's Addiction, where Perry Farrell, the lead singer, basically comes to blows, taking swings at the guitarist Dave Navarro.
Yeah, and we thought this only happened during Oasis shows.
But, they had to cancel the rest of their tour, and it doesn't look good for the future of Jane's Addiction.
No, it does not. Farrell needs some serious help.
And I think that's what it's coming down to, is that I think the other 3 members posted their own apology and farewell on social media without him, and basically implied he needs to get help. We hope he does.
Yeah, he's going through something.
Yep. And ironically, very odd, and then we're not going to review it, sorry. Jane's Addiction's not my cup of tea.
No.
But it's very odd that just a day or 2 ago they released a new song.
It was probably timed out months ago.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. But just very, very weird, very odd that they would release new music
after all this.
Yep. Now, the one that impacts Dave and I more, because it's in our wheelhouse, in our growing up era in the 80s, is because there's friction in the band between the two remaining members from the classic lineup, Kevin Cronin and Bruce Hall. REO Speedwagon is saying, we are done at the end of the year. No more touring. We're calling it quits. Now, they are old. Part of the problem, I guess, stems from the fact that Bruce Hall, bass player who's been with them since the late 70s, jumped on board right when they became very popular with, starting with You Can Tune a Piano, but You Can't Tune a Fish. He had to have back surgery recently. But he said, in no way, shape, or form do I want to quit playing. I'm fine. Doctors gave me clearance. And then Kevin Cronin and the REO Speedwagon, I don't know if the other guys had any say in it because they're not technically, long-term members.
Right.
Some of them have been with the band for a couple decades. But they said he doesn't look like he's ready to go back on stage. They said he looked odd, he looked awkward, his posture was weird and bad.
But can he play?
It was, from what I have read, is more about the image of what he looked like.
But can he play?
But the rest of the band said, we don't feel comfortable having him come back, looking the way he does as he's playing. And then I guess Kevin Cronin has recently had medical issues, so they just decided, screw it, we're calling it quits. So REO Speedwagon has a handful of shows left over the final 3 months of 2024, and
we were lucky enough to score tickets.
So we will, in mid-November, have our review of one of the final shows ever for the great, the legendary, should be in the fucking Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, REO Speedwagon.
And opening for them, we've seen him just a couple weeks ago, kids. Loverboy.
Yeah, this will be the third time for us with Loverboy in the last 16, 17 months.
Yeah. Yeah, so, when they opened for Foreigner.
Last year.
Yep. Last year. And then for Sammy. And now for REO.
Yep. But, we will have that for you. And we've still got plenty of other shows coming up, including Roger Klein and the Peacemakers, Jackal, and Night Ranger.
Yep. Good stuff coming down the line.
All right, 2 songs for you this week. First up, Jerry Cantrell of Alice in Chains' second single from his upcoming album, I Want Blood. The song is Afterglow.
I enjoyed this one.
Okay, I didn't.
No?
No.
It was a little different from what you would know. It's a different sound.
I thought this was a perfect example of what we always rail about with these guys going solo. This needed the rest of Alice in Chains. Either to punch it up or for them to say, no, this is not worthy of us.
Yeah. I kind of...
Vilified was... The first single, Vilified, was.
That was classic Alice in Chains sound.
Yep.
This needed a little more of the punch. I liked the refrain, but in that regard, you're right. It needed a little more oomph behind it.
Yeah, I mean, the guitar riff isn't bad. It's okay. But I would expect more. I would expect a lot more. I cannot recommend this. I would only give it 1.5 frenzies.
See, I was going to go a week, 2.5.
No, that's fine. You like it.
I enjoyed it.
Okay.
A little bit. Cool. Not great, but decent.
No, I was very disappointed by it. And again, get back with Alice in Chains and do a goddamn album, will ya? It's been too long. Stop doing the solo crap, Jerry. Anyway. The other song we've got for you this week, of course, MC5. All of the original members, unfortunately, have now passed away. But they had these songs in the vault. They recorded them over the last few years. And this one in particular tweaked my fancy because it involves one of my favorite guitarists.
Yep, Mr. Vernon Reid from Living Colour.
And of course, when we saw Living Colour here recently, they paid homage and tribute to MC5 by playing Kick Out the Jam. Yep. Motherfucker! That's how
so
it goes,
good.
Kids. That was their big rebel moment
yes.
back in the early 70s. And Vernon Reid definitely leaves his mark on this song.
Oh, man.
His
the
guitar solo
work is freaking phenomenal.
The guitar solo is exceptional. Absolutely exceptional.
He is one of the underrated guitarists out there.
Yes, absolutely. And the song itself, a little punkish. I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
A little bit rebellious, but that's what you would expect from MC5.
Yeah, it was rocked out. It was good. It solid 3.
Yeah, I'll give it a weak 3. I'm with you, close to where you are. I don't know. We'll see how desperate we get. Maybe we'll review the full album when it comes out.
Potentially, this has got me wanting to go back and listen to their stuff. I never listened to that much of it, but
there's not that much out there.
No, there's not. But I've never really listened to them.
Right.
But I kind of want to now.
Well, the one album is considered a landmark, Kick Out the Jams.
Yeah.
That's the one that I'm with you. I would really like to delve into that and listen to that, since that's considered such a landmark album.
Yeah. And I've never really considered listening to them before. And I don't know why. They just never really popped on the radar. And
with the way music is now and the fact that we don't have the vast potpourri of groups we had back in the 80s, you got to go digging back in time sometimes.
Yeah.
And find out if some of these older bands... I will tell you a band that I tried to get into this past week. Now, it was miserable. It was miserable.
But you tried.
Yeah. But I've had good luck over the last decade or so getting into some of these older bands that I kind of poo-pooed, like you're talking about. Like A Three Dog Night. I was like, they're not bad. I kind of like them.
Yeah.
The Guess Who I love now. I absolutely love the Guess Who now.
It's about 50-50.
I decided this week... Yeah, I know you hate American Woman.
Oh my God, you worst fucking
hate
song
American
ever.
Woman. But the band I tried to get into this week, an old band, and decided, no, I think I will stay away, is Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Yeah, I could just never... They never did it.
No. I tried to listen to their greatest hits, and I couldn't even get to Spinning Wheel, which is one of the 2 songs that I knew.
Yeah.
Couldn't even get that far in because after 3 or 4 songs, I was like, oh my God, this is just...
What?
This is, music for potheads. It's just meandering, mellow, just, no thank you. No thank you.
Hard pass.
Yeah. So it doesn't always work out, but yeah, we got to dig back into the past sometimes for us. Since we've listened to so much and seen so many bands, we got to find some of these hidden nuggets, these undiscovered.
Sometimes we have to contact Mr. Peabody and go in the Wayback Machine.
There you go. Yep, absolutely. So there you go, kids. Great concert. Pretty solid song from MC5 with Vernon Reid.
Mediocre-ish.
Split decision on Jerry Cantrell.
So, there you go.
Next week we will have, as I mentioned, our review of Rival Sons, Clutch, and Fu Manchu. Maybe Clutch, maybe.
Some of Clutch.
We will see. If they're first, then yes, we will listen to the whole show. And then 3 new songs, Miles Kennedy, The Offspring, and Tears for Fears for you next week.
Woohoo! God rest his soul.
Who are you talking about?
Never mind. I'm screwing up my bands. Disregard.
I was gonna say none of them are dead. Doofus. All right. Not a lot to discuss in TV.
You missed the entire Psych reference.
Dude, I haven't watched Psych in years. You guys watch it like every year. You go through the entire
Every so
catalog.
often we run
Yes.
back through it.
I
Every
have not
couple of
watched a
years.
Psych episode in 3 years at least.
All right, there we go.
Well, now you say that. Now I know you're referencing Kurt Smith from Tears for Fears. I know that.
Who was regularly on Psych.
Yes.
And
See,
there
now
was
I get it.
One
Now I get it.
episode in particular where he was attacked by the tiger.
All right, I get it now. You pulled one over on me.
God rest his soul. He's not dead.
You pulled the wool over my eyes. Great memories, though. Yeah. Yes, Kurt Smith on Psych all the time. All right, so TV and streaming, not a lot to report this week. I will say that I have started watching Tracker in anticipation.
Welcome to the club.
In anticipation of the second season coming up next month in October. And I've told you that I felt duped. I felt tricked.
By the lameness of the commercials and the ads before it started?
Yes. Now, I knew, because, of course, you read 500 books a year, that Jeffrey Deaver, a novelist that you and I both know well, you've probably read all of his stuff. I've read 2 books of his. Wasn't overly impressed. But Coulter Shaw, the main character in Tracker, is a short book series.
Yeah, there's like 4 books, I think.
Right. But, yeah, the previews made it look like milquetoast cookie cutter network TV crap. And that's why I stayed away from it. And I finally started to watch some of it last week, starting at the beginning. And I am much, much more impressed with it than I thought I would be. It is definitely not generic network TV crap. It has a nice edge to it.
Yeah.
Very, very happy. I will finish up season 1 just in time to start getting into season 2.
In mid-October.
Which we can start reviewing together.
Yes.
So that'll be fun. Now, another show that's starting up this week that has really crappy, shitty previews, but the pedigree behind it is hard to argue with, because some of the people that created Rescue High Surf, again, debuting this coming Sunday, which would be the 22nd.
Just doesn't.
I
looks
know,
like
but it's from.
It looks like
we
a
love
bad
Animal Kingdom.
I know, but it looks like a bad Baywatch knockoff.
I know, I agree with you, but I got fooled on Tracker too. Now we're not committing to it beyond an episode or two.
We'll give it an episode to see if it's got
Sean Hatosi's in it from Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, we'll see if it's got any semblance of an edge that Animal Kingdom had.
Yes. And again, if it wasn't for Tracker, I would probably not even bother. But since I was fooled by Tracker, we'll see if we're getting fooled on this one as well.
So
would it be so wrong if it's kind of like Baywatch? You get to see a lot of bouncing, jiggling things on the beach. Would that be so wrong, Dave? Would it?
Only if the series and the storyline is abysmally bad.
But at least it'd get us through the first couple episodes.
Yeah. See, now by that, shouldn't you give Don Johnson's new Oceanic cruise show a shot?
No, Dr. Honesty. No, I am not. No, I am not. I mean, there's only so far you can push me. Was it Joshua Jackson plays the doctor?
Yeah.
I'm here to save lives.
No,
and then you get the calypso music, and Don Johnson's the captain. You know, it just looks terrible. I mean, it looks terrible.
It's a generic Love Boat knockoff.
Oh God, it's probably.
Is it a combination of the Love Boat and ER?
Sounds right to me.
Or Quincy. If we want to stay period with the Love Boat.
Yeah, how dark is it going to get? Are people going to actually die on the boat?
At least people died in Quincy.
Well, that's why Quincy was good.
Quincy started the whole CSI, NCIS forensic stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this doesn't strike me as... This strikes me, like you said, as a Love Boat, kind of with a little bit of the Quincy... you know, Grey's Anatomy kind of maybe.
I think it's more Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh.
No, I'm with you. No, I will not. I will go only so far. I will try rescue high surf. That's it.
All right.
That's it.
I will join you on the surfboard for the surfboards.
We'll try an episode or two. I mean, if the first one's abysmal, then I'll quit.
We'll try and catch the wave, and if we fall off, we fall off.
Yep. I've got it on my DVR, so don't forget to record it. Although I'm sure you can watch it on demand.
Yeah.
So that leads us into our book review of the week.
That's right. Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child. Their latest Pendergast novel, Angel of Vengeance. This is part 2 from the 2003 Cabinet of Dr. Lang. The time travel double feature. Not overly impressed with Cabinet of Dr. Lang. The whole time travel thing it felt like it jumped the shark a little bit. But here, picking up in 1880s New York in an alternate universe where Constance Green, Pendergast Ward, goes back in time to save her sister, brother, and herself from the evils of Dr. Enoch Lang, who is Aloysius Pendergast's great-great-grand-uncle in whatever. So, of course, Vinnie D'Augusta, New York policeman and companion to Pendergast on these adventures, joins him. And Pendergast's evil brother, Diogenes, happens to join the mix as well as they attempt to foil the evil Lang, who somehow always finds a way to be a step or two ahead of where they are. But not bad. It redeemed itself from the first one, the way things worked. The end was all right. I give it a weak 3, because there were some cool pieces in there and how things worked through. But still not their strongest of efforts.
You know what I've got? It's sitting right over to my left. You just made me realize I've got to rewatch at some point in time. The Relic.
Yep.
Which is, of course, the first. Technically the first Pendergast book.
Yes,
and of course,
technically the first, but Pendergast is a secondary character.
Right. You made me think of it with Vinnie D'Augusta.
Yeah,
because he's a main character in The Relic.
Yeah. And then Reliquary, the
right.
follow-up, Pendergast takes more of the lead, and then the third Cabinet of Curiosities really establishes Pendergast as the main character.
Yeah, and of course I got through the first 5 or 6 books, and then I kind of faded out on it because what you're telling me on this doesn't appeal to me. It sounds like it's going too far. I liked the supernatural aspects, but time travel now?
Time travel got a little too far.
I'm cool with time travel in movies and books. I don't know. That's not for me.
They kind of brought it back. There were some cool pieces, but overall, that's why it's just they've got some redeeming to do with the next one.
Yeah. I remember loving, what was it, Still Life with Crows?
Still Life with Crows was probably one of the best ones.
Yep. But just like kind of, not for different reasons, but I also faded out on the Prey series just because it got to a point where it wasn't doing anything new for me. You know? I like Lucas Davenport as a character, but much better now with him paired with Virgil Flowers.
He needed a solid partner to work with.
Yeah.
And the first bit of the Prey was great when he was teamed up with Sloane. And then shit hit the fan, and then he moved on from Minneapolis PD to working with the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. things went a little eh.
Yeah, I want to say I bailed on Buried Prey, is where I bailed out on it.
Yeah.
Because I remember starting to read that one, if I'm right on that being the book, and it starts back in the 70s, and I'm not kidding, kids. Dave will attest to this. It could be the wrong book, but I know the scene is correct. Lucas Davenport's looking at himself in the mirror asking if his dick's big enough. And I'm like, okay, I need to take a break from this now.
Yeah, in college. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we got off track a little bit. Next week, we will both have a review, a dual review for you of the new Lee Child short story collection, Safe Enough.
Yes.
So that just came out about a month ago. Dave and I will break that down for you. Going to be interesting to review a collection of short stories.
It's always difficult to do.
So we'll have to kind of plan on picking our favorites and our least favorites.
Yeah.
To help the kids decide whether or not they want to read it or not.
Delve into.
But in this day and age of ADD, this is probably the perfect collection for anybody who just wants a quick, easy read.
Yeah.
Stories are all 12, 13, 14 pages. So.
Yep, not a lot of substance to them.
Yeah, all you idiot little monkeys out there who can't let your phones go, you'll probably love it. Because you can knock out a story and then get right back on your phone.
Beep, 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 beep.
All right, so now we move on from books to movies. I should mention, though, something I did not mention in TV and streaming. Of course, Dave and I will be indulging in The Penguin.
Oh, yes. Yes, on Max.
New series on Max.
Colin Farrell.
Definitely. How would you think we would not be watching The Penguin? So we'll also have that for you. So we're going to have surfing and Batman crime.
What more could you want?
Yeah. All right, movies. Dave and I have a mutual review, and then I have a bonus review. So Dave and I watched the very popular, from what I have read, doing very, very well in terms of ratings or however they judge how many people are watching this crap on streaming.
Yeah.
Rebel Ridge is doing very, very well for Netflix. So, of course, since I'm a huge Don Johnson fan, I'm happy about that. Even though the Dr. Odyssey thing, I don't need. I don't need that in my life.
Come on, Don. What are you doing?
Yeah. Paycheck.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, he gets to wear a white tux. There you go.
Hey, man still looks good at his age. One of the better looking men ever. And of course, in the greatest TV show of all time, Miami Vice. But I digress. Even though he is in Rebel Ridge, so I'm not digressing.
We're not. We're including it because he plays small town sheriff with many an issue.
Yep. It looked to me like this was going to head down the Rambo road from the previews.
Yeah,
and the
it kind of looked like, but so not. Went a completely different direction.
Yeah, it still has the small town
corruption.
Right. But this is more a structured criminal corruption than just a bunch of rednecks
harassing somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
There is some of that
as
well.
This is systemic harassment.
Yes. But of course.
In a plot to earn money.
Yes, there is a financial gain to be had. So Aaron Pierre plays an ex-military vet, although he didn't have any combat time. They make that clear when they're describing him.
But
he is trained. He is trained, and he knows how to hold his own. He was the
trainer for the Marines in hand-to-hand combat.
Yep. So yes, it ends up being, in a way, right off the bat, small town corrupt cops pick on the wrong guy.
Yep. Wrong guy and the wrong family.
Yep. But Aaron Pierre, I'll tell you this. Number one, I thought he was great
He did
And
a damn good job.
he could be the next great action hero if he wanted to be.
I agree. He's got that attitude.
But I think they
And the
toned him down a
charisma.
bit. I think they toned him down a bit because as much as I would like to compare this to our favorite genre, our 80s action genre, it again in our namby-pamby little snowflake society, we can't kill
anybody.
people.
It was all incapacitating people.
Right.
It's like, just let them loose, damn it.
Yes, they're all scumbags.
They all deserve it. Well,
Yes.
most of them deserve it.
Right. And especially when you get the big plot twist, they definitely, at least to me, in his character's eyes, they should have deserved it.
Yes. But not Serpico.
Right, that was a neat little twist. That was a neat little twist.
You thought it was going one way and it went somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I loved the Serpico reference.
Yeah.
I acted the boys Serpico, so I had to pause it and explain who Serpico was.
And in the movie with Al
the
Pacino,
movie based on the true story
right.
of the undercover agent.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I like that. I like the fact that earned a lot of credibility for me in that they could have gone checkbox, 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 and they decided, man, maybe not. Maybe we'll actually show some semblance of sanity here. Overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was well done. I don't think there's anything groundbreaking or earth-shattering here.
There's not, and the boys and I discussed it.
Yeah.
We liked it, but it was about 20 minutes too long. There were a couple spots in the middle where it really bogged down.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that. I can. Yeah. It was and that's the thing. We talk about this all the time and joke about it, that a lot of these movies really go on way too long. Yeah. Way too long. It was almost like comparing it to music when artists weren't constrained by the vinyl limitations anymore. And they could go up to 80 minutes of music on a CD, and they felt like, well give them 80 minutes.
No, you don't have to fill the whole thing.
Some of the greatest albums of all time, Fair Warning by Van Halen comes to mind, barely checks in at 30 minutes.
Yeah. Sometimes less is more.
Right.
So it was 2 hours and 11 minutes? Knock it back to about an hour 45, hour 50 max.
Yeah.
And I think it would have clicked along at a better pace and been a better view overall.
Yeah, I agree with that. It did need a little bit of editing.
But still, overall, the story was really solid.
Yep. Again, nothing new. Something we've seen before. Again, little bit of an homage to Rambo. Little bit. Not as much as I was expecting.
Yeah.
Would have liked a little bit more of the old 80s mentality of, let's kill these people.
Yeah, let's just be done with them. Yeah. So there's no chance they're going to do anything to anybody ever again.
Yeah. And it's got a little bit of an open-ended ending. Where we kind of don't know the fate of some of the main characters.
Yeah.
And I hate to think of what had happened based on what they'd been through, especially the female lead.
Yes.
Because her life had been absolutely destroyed.
Yeah, there's a lot of making up to do on that one.
Yeah. So I can understand why this has been fairly popular on Netflix. Not going to be in the running for Film of the Year.
No.
But it was an enjoyable movie to sit down and watch for a couple hours. Like you said, could have used 15, 20 minutes chopped out of it here and there.
Yeah.
I'll give it a week 3, Frenzies.
I was going to go solid 2.5.
Okay. So, good, not great. Good, not
it's
great.
worth watching.
Before we get on to my movie review, my bonus movie review, I'm kind of in the habit of doing this now, even though sometimes I watch the trailers, sometimes I'm just letting everybody know they're out there. The final trailer for Venom, The Last Dance, is out. Trailer for Salem's Lot, coming to Max on October the 3rd.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm a sucker for the originals.
Yeah, I know that's sitting over in my horror
David
collection
Soul,
somewhere.
come on.
Lance Kerwin, right? He was in it too.
Yep.
Yep. I will probably end up giving this a shot. I probably will.
It's a Stephen King based movie. We're gonna be watching it. Come on.
Well, yeah, you don't have any control about that.
No.
Your wife is gonna say, yes, we're watching
We'll
this.
watch it.
Yep. And then an interesting movie, the first trailer for Mickey 17, which is based on a book, I believe, called Mickey 7. Something about a astronaut who gets stuck in a time loop. And it's kind of like a Edge of Tomorrow type of thing, where dies and reborn, Groundhog Day, that whole type of thing.
Until he figures out a way to...
Yeah, that's the initial impression I'm getting from this. All right, so my bonus movie review is Late Night with the Devil. Now, I was really looking forward to seeing this because the premise, the idea behind this one is so cool and so interesting. Where you basically got a cheesy 70s late night talk show host who decides to have a show on Halloween night that goes way too far in terms of witchcraft, sorcery, demonic possessions. This could have been done better. It could have been done better. I'm not saying it was an overall waste. I'm really torn on this one. I know 2.5 is kind of our cutoff for a recommend, not recommend. A week 2.5 is not. A strong 2.5 is yes, recommend. And I'm leaning towards the weak 2.5, just a near miss, because I don't think they did a good enough job with the concept.
Brilliant concept, weak execution.
Mediocre execution. I'll give them credit in some aspects. They did a pretty decent job with it, but again, I think they could have done a lot better with this. Now, it's obviously a low-budget movie. And as I mentioned, this guy is trying to salvage his late-night talk show, which used to have really good ratings. But for some reason recently, he's fallen on hard times, so he and his producer are making one last ditch grasp at bringing in big time ratings with having a guy who talks to the dead first, and then he's got a skeptic on there who's going to prove how everything on the show is fixed and it's fake and it's phony, and then he brings in a woman who is in charge of a ward, and she is possessed by a demonic spirit. And of course the skeptic throughout the whole show is trying to prove, they've hypnotized the audience. I can show you how they did it and why they did it. And of course, in the end, everything goes horribly, disastrously wrong.
Of course it does.
So again, some parts of it are very cool, very, very thumbs up horror movie wise. But the way they explain it away is partially satisfying and partially frustrating. Again, I think the problem I have with this one is I had such high expectations for this one, and it just fell short, and that was very disappointing to me.
Yeah.
The lead actor, I believe his name is David Dalmatian. He was in Suicide Squad. He was the guy with the balls. That's where everybody would know him from. He does a really good job as the host, and balancing between trying to keep the show afloat, caring about the welfare of the girl as she moves in and out of possession, but at the same time listening to his producer whispering in his ear, going, "This is going great. The ratings are through the roof. Keep it going. Keep it going."
Right.
So, again, a week, 2.5, just under the cut line for recommendation for Late Night with the Devil.
And there we go.
So there you go, kids. There are your movie reviews for the week. Now we move on. Well, I think I'm going to hold off on my Clint Eastwood Badass of the Week until I can tie it in to our dumbasses, if that makes sense.
Sure, why not?
All right. So let's move on to Moments of Silence. Of course, again, our generation, very significant, very important, growing up with the Jackson 5.
Yep. Tito.
Yep, Tito Jackson has passed away. All three, by the way, this week are in the world of music. Now, I don't know if you would remember Frankie Beverly and Maze. They were late 70s. They were pretty big in terms of the soul.
Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah. Well, Frankie Beverly passed away. And then a big loss in the world of the Eagles. Not an official member of the Eagles, but wrote a lot of hit songs for them, co-wrote. I believe he wrote some hit songs for Linda Ronstadt, who was at one time his girlfriend. He was in that community, that group, like a Jackson Browne. J.D. Souther passed away. He had one big hit solo song called Only Lonely, but most of his fame comes from his association with the Eagles.
Yep. So thoughts and prayers to all their families and friends.
Yeah, J.D. Souther actually kept turning down offers to join the Eagles.
Oh my.
Yeah, he says that he's fine with it because even when he experienced his little bit of fame with his one-hit song, he was very uncomfortable as the crowds got larger.
Well, there you go.
But he did admit, he said, yeah, the paychecks would have been much nicer.
Yeah. Yeah, the bank account would have grown exponentially.
Yep. Oh, and I did not mention our movie review for next week, debuting on Max. As you kids are listening to this, it's already out there on Max. I Saw the TV Glow. So let's see if this creepy movie will actually
live up to
modest expectations. Yeah. I have much more modest expectations for this one than I did for Late Night.
We're not hyping this one up.
No. So now see, it worked for us here recently with The Watchers.
It did.
Did not have high expectations for The Watchers. It ended up being much better than I anticipated.
Yeah. So we'll see with I Saw the TV Glow if we get any of the old poltergeist feel.
Yeah, we'll see.
Mommy.
A little bit of an homage, maybe.
Mommy.
That's another movie I haven't watched in decades.
I know.
I did not watch the remake.
Oh, hell no.
But, yeah, the original with Craig T. Nelson.
Yep.
That's one I should pull out and watch sometime.
With the creepy clown.
Yep. All right, so what do we do now, Dave?
It's time to pivot. Pivot.
Now, I'm taking it easy on Dave this week. I did not set up the show prep when I was angry or upset. I was. I was very upset. But only three contestants
to see who will be this week's Red Foreman Dumbass of the Week.
Now, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, I'm going to tie in my Clint Eastwood pop culture badass of the weekend first, because it's going to play directly into two of these three dumbasses. This time of year, every 4 years, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get a lot of discussion about the stupidity of celebrities acting like we should give two rip shits who they're voting for, who they want you to vote for. I don't care. And there is finally a significant celebrity who agrees with us, and this one blows my mind because this is a guy I don't care at all about, and I think we actually included him a couple months ago in the Red Foreman Dumbasses of the Week. As I recall, we were discussing how stupid of an idea it was to do a Lego movie based on the life of Pharrell Williams. Remember that?
Yes, I remember that crap.
But now, I have found newfound respect for Pharrell Williams because he has 5 words to say to any celebrity who wants to force their political endorsements on him, you, me, anybody. He says, "Shut up, nobody asked you."
Nice.
So
that's almost up there with "shut up and entertain me."
Yep. So his words make me very happy.
We're
I'm
happy.
very happy.
Way to go, Pharrell. Newfound respect for you.
Yeah, definitely liking that because, unfortunately, I got a couple celebrities who've gone too far with their political viewpoints here in the past week, and one of them, at least, I know we like. But let's start off with the one that, I used to like him a long time ago. Howard Stern.
Oh my God, this fucktard. Does anybody even listen to this idiot anymore? Does anybody realize he is a hypocrite? He is everything he used to be against.
Yeah, Howard Stern has gone a little bit too far with, this is the typical Hollywood viewpoint now, where if you don't follow the company line, if you don't toe the company line, this is what you get. Howard Stern, direct quote, hates Trump voters. Quote, "They are stupid. I have no respect for them." So here's the thing. You can vote for whoever you want to vote for, but to sink to this level, where if you, 50% of the country he's basically calling stupid.
And hates. Well, guess what? Most people hate you too, you frickin' dumbass.
Yeah, and he is the biggest pussy out there too. You know, he's
another
a
pussy and a hypocrite.
He's another one that talks tough, yet you get him in a street fight, you could pummel him into the ground in a bloody pulp in 2 seconds. But
he's a hypocrite.
He's another liberal bully, is what he is.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, the other guy, the second nominee for Dumbass of the Week, is somebody that you and I like. We've seen him in concert. But again, he's going too far. And that is one Sebastian Bach.
Oh, Sebastian.
He has very similar sentiments to what Howard Stern had said. And this is, again, a direct quote. That 50%, of course, 50% being Trump voters, Republicans, is not cool enough to listen to me. So, in the end, I tell them, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, well, Sebastian, go fuck yourself.
I don't understand what...
Shut up and entertain me. You egotistical prick.
In a world right now where we've got multiple assassination attempts on one of our presidential candidates, and these hypocrites sit there and go, "Oh, we're not to blame. We don't condone violence."
Bullshit!
And then they say the most vile, despicable crap. And again, I'm not endorsing a candidate.
No.
I'm not Tay-Tay. Tay-Tay can go fuck off, by the way. I'm not going to go as far as Trump and say I hate her. I'm just saying,
Shut up and sing.
If you idiots out there are actually going to listen to her just because she says she's endorsing a candidate and voting for a candidate without doing the research, without looking into the issues, then you're an idiot. Just like Howard Stern and Sebastian Bach. Finally. Oh, Dave, remember the good vibrations we had when we saw Deadpool and Wolverine?
Yeah.
And how we were like, maybe possibly there's hope for the Marvel Universe after all?
Yeah, we thought maybe Disney would realize that their checkbox bullshit doesn't make them any money and they should just go the way it should.
Well, so much for that. So much for that. Because this week, of course, their brand new Marvel series debuted on Disney Plus. That would be Agatha All Along, which I don't understand why why you would base a series on one of the lesser characters in the Marvel Universe, Agatha Harkness, just because she was in WandaVision. But here's the kicker. Of course, since the series debuted this week, they had to go out and do their press junkets, because that's what celebrities do, because it's all about me, 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 me. I mean, I am getting so cynical as I get older. And I gotta look at these stupid-ass poses anymore. You are in books, by the way, right? Yes, you are.
Yes.
Have you seen the cover of the upcoming Connie Chung biography?
Yeah, it's kind of painful.
Oh my God, that is the most pathetically staged, goofy-ass pose you'll ever see from celebrities.
It's pretty.
And they have a lot of really stupid, goofy-ass stage poses.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, look at me, I'm a saint, I'm an angel.
Oh, look.
I'm thoughtful.
I'm contemplative.
I'm thoughtful, yes. Anyway, going back to Agatha All Along, the cast did their press junket. And they came out and said, in no uncertain terms, direct quote from Kathryn Hahn, who stars in the show, used to be on Saturday Night Live, after it was good. This is the gayest Marvel project yet.
Yeah, guaranteed to fail.
So just when we thought that Marvel had maybe figured it out,
nope, they fell back into the cesspool.
And I'm telling you right now, if they fuck up Daredevil next year,
you know they will.
Oh my God. Oh my God. They better not fuck up Daredevil. And don't mess with the Punisher. Don't you dare mess with the Punisher. If they pansify the Punisher, if they take all, they swear it's going to have that hard edge the other Netflix Daredevil series had.
Yeah, right. How can we believe them if they pull this bullshit?
All right, so Agatha All Along being the gayest Marvel project yet. Howard Stern, all Trump voters are stupid. And Sebastian Bach, Trump voters are not cool enough to listen to me, so go fuck yourself.
Ugh. We come to expect it from Disney.
Yeah.
We come to expect it from Howard Stern because he's a fucktard. I gotta go with Sebastian Bach because it's somebody that I actually liked.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. And now I'm starting to understand
why
Skid Row doesn't want anything and they don't want anything to do with him.
Yep.
And I can tell they're getting sick and tired of being asked, why won't you get back with Sebastian Bach?
Boom, right there.
And they just say, toxic, not going to do it. And now I'm beginning to understand a lot more.
Why.
Now I can separate the man from the music.
From the dip fuck.
Yep. But I don't like the fact he's saying I'm not cool enough to listen to his music.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm voting for Trump, but I would just
shut up and entertain me.
There you go. I don't even know why I bother, because Dave says it so eloquently. And I remember that old Entertainment Weekly magazine cover. Remember the Dixie Chicks controversy?
Oh, God, yeah.
And they had to pose naked on the cover of Entertainment Weekly with all the insults that people had hurled at them.
Just shut up and sing.
Yeah, that was the big quote. Just shut up and sing. And you know what?
It still holds true.
Yep. All right, that's going to do it for the weekend edition of Sports Frenzy 2.0. He's your Uncle Dave.
He's your Uncle Kev.
We've already told you what's coming up next weekend. Rival Sons. I saw the TV glow. The Penguin. Plus new stuff from Miles Kennedy. Tears for Fears. No, Kurt Smith is not dead. And The Offspring.
There you go.
Very clever, Dave. Very, very clever with that one. That's going to haunt me for the next couple days. Why didn't I pick up on that? God damn it.
You're killing me here.
Of course, if you like your sports like we do,
check out the Thursday Sports Edition, where we do this on Spotify, Good Pods, Pocket Cast, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, Amazon, Audible, and iHeart Sports Frenzy, baby.
That, of course, is also known as iHeartRadio. Don't forget to check out the Facebook page. Comments always welcome. We don't care if it's negative. We can take it, because we're not pansies. We're not wuss bags. We're not snowflakes. You bring it with both barrels, and we'll give it right back to you. Ask the LSU fans from a decade ago.
When we were on YouTube going back and forth.
Yep. We will not back down. We're not these privileged actors and actresses. Oh, I can't look at social media because they say mean things about me. Bring it fucking on!
We all know whoever's going to be negative are the trolls living in your grandma's basement.
You're not going to say anything worse about me that Dave hasn't already said over the last 30 years, okay? So this is a troll's worst nightmare, because I will give it back to you. Times 10. All right, one last time. That is a conquistador, Dave Height.
That's the maestro, Kevin Crane.
We're not screwing around tonight. Just say goodnight to the kids, Dave.
Good night to the kids, Dave.